5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Please do not change channel.
From Krypton Radio, brought to you by Famous Faces and Funnies and Off the Chain with Yvonne Mason, it's the Hanging with Web Show Radio Hour, the Internet's premier pop culture talk radio show. You're tuned in, you're logged on, and now your hosts, G.W. Pomichter and Christian Basil. Who are you hanging with?
Thank you, SpiderMan.
That was so good.
Hey, sorry I'm late.
Happy. You look nice.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. New dress?
Yes, it is. How'd you know?
What just happened?
Planning a trip?
Mm-hmm. Going to Europe. It's a school trip.
Did you get your passport?
Peter Parker here to pick up a passport, please.
Mini toothpaste?
Mm-hmm.
Pack your suit.
I just want to go on my trip with my friends. Europe doesn't really need a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. You look really pretty.
And therefore I have value.
No, that's not right.
I'm messing with you. You look pretty too.
I just want to spend some time with MJ. I think she really likes me, dude.
That reminds me when I first fell in love. I had just finished my food call.
So nice to finally meet you, Spider-Man.
You're Nick Fury.
Put some clothes on. Let's go for a ride.
Is he gonna be okay like that?
Might want to turn him over so he doesn't swallow his tongue.
I think Nick Fury just hijacked our summer vacation.
Awesome! You got gifts, Parker, but you have a job to do. Are you going to step up or not?
You're all alone. Your friends are in trouble. What are you going to do about it?
You don't want any part of this.
Who is that guy?
He's like Iron Man and Thor rolled into one.
He's no Spider-Man.
What is it with you and Spider-Man?
What, he looks out for the neighborhood, has a dope suit, and I really respect him. Sup, dickwad?
Hello, World Wide Web, from laptop to mobile, from border to border, from coast to coast, and all the ships at sea. I'm G.W. Pomichter, and this is the Hangin' with Web Show Radio Hour.
All right, everybody. That's right. From the opening, I wonder, can you all tell what we're going to talk about tonight? No, not Spider-Man.
That's true. Not
Spider-Man. No. Actually, tonight we're going to talk about trailers and teasers. And the role that they play in shaping popular culture and in shaping our expectations of coming properties, whether they be, I've seen teasers and trailers for comic books. I've seen trailers and teasers for television, for movies.
Games.
New games, video games coming out. Teasers and trailers play a huge role in the popular imagination today, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight. We're here in the studio. I'm G.W. Pomichter again.
I am Sage Ia.
And I'm Deanna Marie.
And we're talking about trailers and teasers and the role they play in popular culture. We started out the show with the recently, yesterday, 2 days ago, released trailer for Spider-Man Far From Home.
Far From Home!
And really good stuff. Really, we were excited to see it. Today, teasers and trailers are playing a bigger role than ever before in shaping popular culture. And part of that is social media. The ability to share these things on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. You're able to share, what's coming up. And in the smallest amount, we saw a teaser. We saw the teaser for the Stranger Things Netflix series, which was 25 seconds of basically fading in the title.
Yeah, and followed by all the episode titles.
And in that process, it builds excitement. It's a great marketing tool, but in the land of social media, it's become so much more than that because it's become a place where we actually spend time. I remember when you would go to the movies, ladies. When you remember going to the movies when you're a teenager, and you always gave yourself that 10-minute window because that was previews.
Yes.
Which were teasers, trailers.
Yeah.
That were running.
And you were like, meh.
Yeah. So, well, a little quick history lesson. The term trailer actually is an old Hollywood term, and it's basically we in the 70s and 80s we referred to them as previews, and we called them previews for two reasons. One, they were a preview vision of a movie that was coming out soon or that was already out, and two, because it showed before the movie. In their inception, trailers were played at the end of movies in movie theaters back when, the golden age of going to the movies. The trailer was played at the end. It was at the trail end of the movie. And so they played a bunch of trailers for coming movies. Today, trailers are not only previews, but they're teasers and they build excitement. They build expectation.
They absolutely do.
Months and months in advance sometimes. So it's not coming soon. You remember the big coming soon to theaters, and you would see the previews, right? And but today, 4 or 5 months ahead, sometimes a year out, you'll see these little snippets. It's become commonplace at comic conventions and other places to show movie trailers all by themselves in a panel room.
Yes.
And big companies, Marvel Studios and Disney and Lucas, which are all the same person, never mind, as well as...
There used to be an app for that.
What's that?
There used to be an app for that.
There still is. On the Apple TV, there's actually a trailers app where it does nothing but show you trailers.
Yeah, now they debut a lot of them at Comic-Cons.
Yeah, they do. It's a big part of our popular culture, and I know it sounds like a really weird topic for a show, but I think what made me think of it, and what made us all think of it here, is we watch not only the trailers, but we watch the quantity and quality of media that pops up surrounding trailers. So the first segment of the show, folks, before we dive into commercial breaks and everything else, the first segment, one of the things we want to talk about are how people on the internet, how people react to new material, new teasers, new trailers, new previews, if you will, of coming attractions. And one of the phenomenons that has popped up in popular culture around how people react to these things is a phenomenon known to many YouTubers and to many people who like to just surf the web for information as the reaction video.
Yes.
And here in the Hangin' with Web Show household, we actually spend time watching some of these reaction videos because it's really fun to see how people react to new material. And so we were looking around, and again, SpiderMan kind of inspired us with the new trailer dropping. And so we looked around at some of the things that are coming out and some of the trailers that are out there and some of the reaction videos. And I'll tell you, some of them are really, really cool and really funny.
Oh my gosh, some people just lose their mind.
And I know we're internet radio, and y'all are out there. You're on the internet. You're listening to your media. You're watching your media on the internet. So you know what this is all about. But it's not home podcasters, and it's not just friends and groups getting together. This starts in the industry and works its way down to everybody's living room. This phenomenon, and an example of that is I recently watched reaction videos of filmmaker, producer, director, writer Kevin Smith, one of the early successful independent filmmakers of a generation, the creator of the characters famous for multiple movies of Jay and Silent Bob. But it all started with Clerks, and Clerks 2, and Mallrats, and so on. And Kevin Smith does reaction videos. His YouTube channel, which is Fat Man Beyond,
Mm-hmm. I love that.
On YouTube, that's right. And you know what, by the way, not Fat Man anymore. Following his heart attack last year, he's on a strict diet and regimen and exercise and all things that are antithetical to the name Kevin Smith.
Damn potatoes.
And he was on a potato diet for, I don't know if he still is, but for a long time he was on literally his staple product was potatoes. He chose that specifically. I recall the story he told on his YouTube channel, actually. He chose potatoes because he thought, wow, there's so many things you can do with potatoes. And it turns out when you remove the butter and the cream cheese and all the extra things and you don't fry them like French fries, a potato is just a potato.
Yeah. And
he found out that he hated potatoes. But he actually looks really good. He's looking really good. He's looking really healthy. He's looking really trim. And he's doing reaction videos to movie trailers and teasers and television show teasers. And you get to watch Kevin Smith, the filmmaker, react to how well, not just how well a film looks like it's going to be, but how well the teaser's put together and talking about it. And so Kevin Smith was doing movie. And one of my favorites also is, and we'll go around here and talk about our favorites and what we like about them. I like a couple on YouTube called Married to the Real.
Oh my gosh.
They are a couple.
They're awesome.
They do reaction videos to entire shows, episodes, etc., but they also do reaction videos to teasers and trailers that come out, and I love watching them. And it's a lot of fun. So check out Married to the Real on YouTube. Ladies, how about you? What are your favorite? Dina, how about you? Do you have a favorite reaction video person that you like of the ones that we watch?
I like Kevin, but the LVS skinny, those guys are kind of cool too.
Yeah, they were kind of fun. What I love about them is that they're not necessarily fanboys.
That's true. It doesn't have to be a property that you absolutely love.
That's right. You just pick something and you watch it for the first time. The best reactions always come when you have, kept yourself away from social media for a couple hours and you've kept yourself away from things, and then you just go and watch it for the first time. Mm-hmm. And you react to what you're seeing. But these reaction videos are kind of like they're the reviews, like a pre-review of trailers and teasers. So even though these people have not seen the film, have not read the comic, have not played the game, they're reacting to the teaser and they're building excitement. It's like, and they give you their own thoughts. What's going to happen? What characters are going to appear? And it becomes sort of like the pre-review of the movie.
It's really cool.
Or the property, yeah.
Because that, whatever it's for, whether it's for film or television or gaming, you start to feel the hype for it.
Yeah. And it does. It builds a sense of community. And again, in a world where, televisions on the wall are 55 inches, 60 inches, in our living room we have a projection TV, so it's 100 inches across, or 100 inches diagonal.
Yes, always nice. You know what makes that really nice? One of my favorite happens to be the reaction mashups.
Yes.
So, because I know Reaction Plus does a really good mashup, and there are so many people that you get to see all of their different reactions simultaneously.
And you see that really well on the big screen. In a world where big screens are available in your home, and everybody's got something, 50-inch, 55-inch flat screen or something mounted on the wall or on top of the fireplace or wherever, going to the movies is more and more about community. It's about an event. Mm-hmm. If you're going to go in and buy a movie ticket and sit in a theater and be, you're limited as to what you can eat or drink because of where you have to get it, etc. You make that sacrifice financially and comfort-wise for the purpose of being a part of a community.
Yes.
And building that community sense is, really built on the back of these trailers and these teasers and these reaction videos, and how seeing your neighbors and friends or people who are like your neighbors and friends react to what's going on. So our topic tonight, ladies and gentlemen, again, is trailers and teasers and the role they play in popular culture today. We started out talking about reaction videos. We come back after the break, and we're going to talk a little bit about another YouTube phenomenon, which has been really exciting, are the teaser breakdowns. And then in the third segment of the show, we are going to talk about whether or not teasers sometimes let you down. Do they set false expectations? Is there too much secrecy out there? But right now, we're going to take a little break, and when we come back, we'll dive back into the Hangin' with Web Show Radio Hour. Stay tuned in. Stay logged on.
Famous Faces and Funnies in Melbourne, Florida is leading the way in pop culture fun. From comic books and graphic novels to Funko Pops and collector's items, Famous Faces and Funnies has it all. Rick Shea and the professional team at Famous Faces and Funnies are friendly and knowledgeable. Whether you're looking for toys, props, collector treasures, or a new comic book, Famous Faces and Funnies is your one-stop shop. To find Famous Faces and Funnies on Facebook and Twitter, just type at FFF Comics.
Every year, tens of millions of people flock to Florida for its sunny beaches and world-famous tourist attractions. Most never learn about the strange and unusual locations just off the beaten path. From the UFOs of Gulf Breeze to Robert the Haunted Doll in Key West, learn about the myths, monsters, and legends from the dark side of the Sunshine State with author Mark Muncy and illustrator Carrie Schultz in their books Eerie, Florida and Freaky Florida from the History Press. Find them at eerieflorida.com or wherever books are sold.
From some of today's best-selling, award-winning authors comes 22 page-turning tales, Cursed Lands.
Cursed Lands will lead you through one doomed world after another in a haunting dystopian urban fantasy.
Join the courageous as they battle for survival across worlds where fae, vampires, angels, witches, and more roam freely.
Cursed Lands is coming soon on Apple Books, Kobo, and Nook.
Pre-order your copy for just 99 cents today.
Stay on. Hey, Miss Potts. If you find this recording, don't feel bad about this. Part of the journey is the end. Just for the record, being adrift in space with zero promise of rescue is more fun than it sounds. Food and water ran out 4 days ago. Oxygen will run out tomorrow morning. That'll be it. When I drift off, I will dream about you. It's always you.
Thanos did exactly what he said he was going to do. He wiped out 50% of all living creatures.
We lost. All of us. We lost friends. We lost family. We lost a part of ourselves. This is the fight of our lives.
This is gonna work, Steve.
I know it is. Because I don't know what I'm going to do if it doesn't.
Hi, is anyone home? This is Scott Lang. We met a few years ago at the airport in Germany. Got really big.
Is this an old message?
Ant-Man, I know you know that.
It's the front door.
That's me. Can you buzz me in?
All right, welcome back, everybody, to the Hangin' with Web Show's Radio Hour. I'm GW Pomichter.
I'm Sagea.
And I'm Deanna Marie.
And we are talking about the impact in all ways, the impact on pop culture by teasers and trailers and social media, and you know what that means, and you know how it is kind of expanded. We talked in the first segment about a great phenomenon that's been sweeping the internet for the past several years, called reaction videos, and we talked about some of our favorite channels. All the channels we mentioned on the show tonight, that we mentioned in the first segment, and also some of the channels that we just like to watch, some of the ones that we tune into regularly, we're going to put in the description of this show. So if you're getting this show on iTunes or Spreaker or iHeartRadio, radio.com, or Krypton Radio, look in the description of the show and find links to all of these phenomenal YouTubers and creators that are out there. This segment, we're going to talk about another YouTube phenomenon built around teasers and trailers.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a phenomenon, you could probably search it on your Google or in your YouTube, or whatever your search engine is. Teaser breakdowns.
Oh, yes.
And this is neat. I like this because I remember when I was young, when I was a little kid, really, I remember trying to soak up as much information as was humanly possible from a 30-second or a 1 minute or a 2 minute preview at a movie theater. And you kind of walked out of the movie theater thinking about the next movie you wanted to see, and you were going over it in your mind, and you were like, well, this is going to happen, and this is going to happen, and this is going to happen. And you knew that only because you saw the preview.
That's it. Well, and you had to talk to your friends and stuff about it because back then we couldn't just go home and watch it on the computer.
No. So everybody was talking about it, mostly younger people, little kids and teenagers or whatever. Older people would see, adults would see a teaser or trailer at a movie theater, and they would walk out and, oh, that looks like it's going to be pretty good, and that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
But today, social media and YouTube, this is a thing. Looking at a trailer almost frame by frame, or at least, second by second.
Yes.
And breaking it down and looking for everything from Easter eggs to the source material. So they'll look for license plates and references. As a matter of fact, in the SpiderMan Far From Home, I watched a trailer breakdown the other day when that came out, and they were looking at it was the number of a truck, and on the side of a truck, I think it was, and it was AMS 212. And it's a passing thing. It happens so subliminally. It's like, a split second. But somebody had gone through frame by frame and found that, and they made note that was an Easter egg to Amazing Spider-Man issue 212.
Right, how cool is that?
And that is the issue where a creature, a water elemental,
kind of like Hydro-Man.
That was his first introduction.
Mm-hmm.
Hydro-Man's introduction was in Spider-Man 212, and there's a reference on the side of a truck just before the Hydro-Man, comes out of the tunnels. And so there it is. And there are people out there on YouTube, and there's some great ones. One of the ones I love to watch is a young man named Charlie. I don't know his last name. He's Charlie from his YouTube channel is Emergency Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And I like watching him because he breaks down teasers and trailers and episodes, for that matter, of all the properties that I like.
That's true. All across the spectrum.
All across the spectrum of
nice.
Game of Thrones and Flash and Arrow. And he does teasers for Avengers and all the new movies coming out.
He is pretty awesome.
Yeah, Emergency Awesome.
I see what you did there.
I see what you did there? I saw what you did there. So I enjoy Emergency Awesome. But this is a neat phenomenon, isn't it? Have you ever learned anything from a trailer breakdown that you didn't know already going into a movie theater?
All kinds of time. All the time.
Yeah?
There are things that I have one of my favorites, which is Eric Voss.
Eric Voss, with
the
New Rockstars. Yeah,
that's exactly right. And I love how he breaks things down that way because his brain kind of jumps around from thing to thing, which I can follow really well. And then he points out some things that I didn't know, especially because he can point out some comic things.
From the source material.
Exactly, from the source material. Kind of like the comic historian who goes over all the comics.
And, it gives you the history of that character.
But that's just strictly comics, and Eric Voss does it with,
television, movies.
The whole overview. Like, the Far From Home for Spider-Man, I didn't realize, because everything went by so fast for me, I didn't realize that was Uncle Ben's suitcase.
No, yeah,
that
was cool.
That was pointed out, and I was like, what? That's so awesome.
I can honestly tell you, now I grew up, I considered myself quite the Spider-Man fan. I of course, grew up with the cartoons in the 70s that were left from the 60s and 70s era.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up. I remember when they put the live-action Spider-Man on television, and I was young enough to think that it was good, even though it wasn't.
I used to watch Spider-Man on the Electric Company.
There you go. Okay. I thought I knew a lot of Spider-Man stuff. That was where Spider-Man debuted on TV, by the way, was the Electric Company. That was his debut on television. So I remember those days, and I thought I knew Spider-Man pretty well. But I did not know until watching a teaser trailer breakdown Uncle Ben's middle name. He is named Benjamin Franklin Parker, and I did not know that. That was pointed out during a trailer teaser breakdown. And whoever did the breakdown, I forget which channel it was I was watching, actually told you what episode that or what issue that was, made public in. And he knew that. So it was Benjamin BFP were the initials on the suitcase in the latest teaser, and that was Benjamin Franklin Parker, and that's Uncle Ben. And I was like, wow.
That's so cool.
That was so I learned things all the time
watching
these, especially about the source material, because I remember some comics from when I was, as an adult, I know what some of the more recent comics are, and the New 52 and all of the different things that have been done in recent years. From growing up, I remember, reading the comic books as a kid. But, of course, at that time, I didn't commit things to memory, so I didn't know what issue number I was reading, and I didn't know all of those things. So I always learned something from the source material watching these teaser breakdowns. And it builds a sense of expectation for me when I go to the movie or I see it on television or I see it in a new comic coming out or a game. I have an expectation now because now I know things I didn't know before.
Well, and I also think that it encourages you when you're watching, if you've seen some of the breakdowns and whatnot, to look for more of that in the film. I think it's one of the reasons why we enjoy watching the film, not just the one time. But we'll go back and watch it over and over again to try to catch those things that you missed because you know now that there are things that you're going to miss.
Yeah. Dina, do you have a favorite of the folks that we watch do the breakdowns and why? What do they do really good that you like?
I just like the Nerdist because they're cool and they're nerdy.
Okay. The Nerdist is cool and nerdy. And that's
who knew?
Who knew? No. Actually, Nerdist is really good. They're a really good one, and one of the reasons is because they handle everything that happens with a really good eye for hard news. Mm-hmm. They do the news about what they happened, and they show things, and they pose theories crafted around a teaser, for example, or a trailer, and they will, they'll present it to you. With the caveat, possible spoiler alert, because we have no idea what we're talking about, but we're going to talk about it anyway.
That's right.
And if we happen to be right, don't be spoiled, because it is all about the speculation. It's all about building that community.
Yes.
Again, if you're going to go and you're going to spend, what is it now, between $10 and $15 to go into a movie theater, and it's $197.50 to buy popcorn, and I don't think it really is that, possibly. But, it's an evening out, and if you're going to invest in an evening out like that, you want to make sure that, you're going for the community and you get that feeling of being a part of something bigger.
Yes.
And
you talk about it with all of your friends. Hey, are we going to go because this could happen or that might happen? What do you think?
This is a phenomenon. We're at shows when we go out and do the comic conventions and we interview our artists and authors and everybody. How many times do people walk up to the table, walk up and talk to us, and they're like, "Hey, did you see the new teaser?"
Yes.
And did you know this and did you know that? So it's a big part of popular culture today. So we're going to take a break here in a minute. When we come back, we're going to talk about one of the reasons why teasers and trailers are so important in popular culture today. They unmask or mask this sense of secrecy behind film and television and property production, video game production, etc. They set expectations, and are those expectations real? Are they false? They help us craft theories. They dive into this world of secrecy. And we're going to talk about that more when we come back in the next segment. In the meantime, stay tuned in and stay logged on because we'll be right back.
Joanne Fisher's The Spanish Doll. Secrets in Italy? Oh, yes. Her beauty strikes him like a thunderbolt sent by the goddess Venus. When Fiore is given a peculiar gift, a Spanish doll, she is thrown into a whirlwind of entangled passion, money, secrets, and love. Get swept away today by Hangin' with Web Show featured author Joanne Fisher's The Spanish Doll. Available now on Amazon.com.
Now on Amazon.com. War Calls, Love Cries, a Civil War novel by Mark Barie.
Isaac Wells is an innocent farm boy living in upstate New York. His dreams are shattered by a treacherous brother and the onset of a devastating civil war. War Calls and Love Cries is a fast-moving historical narrative. It is an emotional roller coaster ride and a riveting must-read book that you will think about and talk about for a long time to come. War Calls, Love Cries is the kind of book you will cherish for a lifetime. On Amazon.com today.
Murder by the Gods from author William G. Collins is available today. Murder by the Gods is a mystery thriller set in the glorious past of ancient Egypt, when the son of the Scorpion King suddenly collapses after receiving a mysterious threat from the god Seth. The prince is convinced it is the gods who are trying to kill his family. Murder by the Gods is filled with adventure and romance in a kingdom that would become known as the Land of the Pharaohs. Murder by the Gods from author William G. Collins is available on Amazon.com today.
You think you can fix me?
Jean, you are not broken.
This is the end. Beautiful friend.
The mind is a fragile thing. It takes only the slightest tap to tip it in the wrong direction.
This is the end.
Charles, what did you do?
I had to keep her stable. I protected her.
From the truth? There's another word for that.
I came looking for answers.
You feel like you don't belong here. You don't. They can't begin to comprehend what you are.
She's changing.
And what?
You didn't come here looking for answers. You came here looking for permission. Jean. She's all rage, pain, and it's all coming out at once. Jean lost control, but she's still our friend. This is your fault, Charles. The world is on the brink. I'm sorry I didn't stop it sooner.
You're always sorry, Charles, and there's always a speech, and nobody cares.
There's still hope. Don't do this.
They're right to fear me.
I've seen evil. And I'm looking at it now.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Hangin' with Web Show Radio Hour. I'm GW Pomichter.
I am Sagea.
And I'm Deanna Marie.
And we are talking trailers and teasers and the effect they have in popular culture today, and the phenomenon that has grown around them. And we talked the first segment about reaction videos, and we did a reaction video to a Game of Thrones episode here on the Hangin' with Web Show, on our video channel, on the Hangin' with Web Show on YouTube. And 100,000 views.
Yeah.
Actually, it was up to 112,000 views the last time I happened to see it. 112,000 viewers.
That was just crazy.
Just watching us react to a Game of Thrones episode.
Because it was Game of Thrones.
Yeah. And people want to feel like a part of a community. And that's something you do at home. You watch television at home, maybe with your neighbors or your family. But you want to know you're a part of a larger community. So you watch these reaction videos and you can see other people reacting. I actually read an article in Entertainment Magazine talking about how Dan and Dave, the showrunners for Game of Thrones, watch reaction videos.
I can see why.
As a way to gauge how the show's doing with fans, which is really cool. And that's almost interactive television when you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because even though it takes 24 hours or a day or two to get these reaction videos up, it's real time compared to a poll or a sampler or something like that, or even the ratings. It's in real time. In a couple of days, you can actually see the results.
Yes.
Which is really cool. That leads us to our next topic for the next segment of the show, where we're going to talk a little bit to you about why. We talked about the what, and we talked about the extended, what, but the why. And a big part of Hollywood today, and I'd say Hollywood, I use the broadest sense of the term. That could be L.A., it could be Atlanta, New York, Miami, any one of the great places that are making films regularly. for our televisions and our movie theaters, has an air of secrecy.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember behind-the-scenes videos and movies talking back in the day about the 1977 filming of Star Wars and how Lucas had used different colors paper so they couldn't photocopy their scripts.
Oh, yes.
So they wouldn't make their way out into the world. And that was thought to be, excessive, and it was thought to be this really cool, factoid back then. Today, that's like the norm. Today, who is doing what, plot lines are top secret, characters coming and going, actors coming and going. These things are all kept under such lock and key that every tiny piece of information, and this is great marketing, guys, because that means that every tiny nugget of information is like gold.
Oh, yes, it is. And people go searching.
Because things are so locked down and so secret that it builds this air of mystery. And so when you can find something that no one else has found yet, or you can see that someone has found something and you can share in that moment, it's like a tiny victory. Like, I beat the corporate man because I found an Easter egg in a trailer and I know what's going to happen. And that's kind of cool. And it feeds into this constant. Now, there are some numbers out on the internet, and you all can look these up. You can just simply Google, how many people watch YouTube, and but hours and hours, something like 5 hours a day is spent by the average person consuming media, and that includes time that you spend on your tablet or your smartphone, or on your laptop, or on your television set if you're hooked up to an Apple TV, a Roku device, any kind of streaming apparatus. We consume upwards of 5 hours a day of media. And some of what we're consuming isn't necessarily solely for entertainment. It's for information. We're searching. We're scanning. And it's trailers and teasers that are feeding us these little tiny nuggets. And we're building stories in our imagination and hoping, and sometimes we hope against all hope, that the filmmaker or the television producer actually had the same vision as we did when we saw the teaser.
That's it. Well, and sometimes when you're searching for all that information, you want to know what's new out there and whatnot, you also have the fans who, if they don't get what they want, they'll make their own.
Yes. I've seen so many, and I know that our listeners out there on Krypton, iHeart, Radio.com, Spreaker, I know you all have seen this phenomenon. I know you've seen this thing where fans are putting together, like, I wish there was a movie about.
Yes.
And I'm going to do a teaser and a trailer and hope that somebody grabs it. I actually, again, read an article that said that some of the Star Trek stuff that we have today is almost a direct result of these fan-made. Now, in the Star Trek universe, fans have gone to the next level. They actually have made entire episodes or entire series in Star Trek and put it out there. Much like we have our Hangin with Web Show talk show series, the web series has become a phenomenon.
Yes.
And again, it feeds these teasers and these trailers out to people, and they go searching, and they find some great characters in internet-based television and movies.
Yeah, we saw one not long ago, and that was the He-Man.
We did.
Which was a fan-made trailer.
Yep. We also saw, of course, and we were talking about web series. We've actually seen Alex Fernandez's Dawn, which is a web series, and we based that on a teaser that we saw on social media. We watched that. So it's a thing. This secrecy and this, try to keeping everything under wraps feeds into this thirst that we have. And when we're consuming 5 hours of media every day, we need every nugget we can get.
That's exactly right.
And when you're holding everything top secret in a locked vault somewhere, and you have actors and actresses that are, sworn to secrecy on their immortal souls.
Yes. Oh, you mean like HBO's Game of Thrones?
Like HBO's Game of Thrones. Which there are actually groups that have popped up, businesses, if you will, that have popped up on the web. There's a great group out there called the Watchers on the Wall.
Yes.
Their entire business model is kind of a paparazzi for the production of Game of Thrones. They're up watching outside the set. They're camping out in hotel lobbies. They're getting every nugget they can get and they're feeding it through to YouTube and Instagram and Facebook and social media, feeding these little nuggets out. I saw Kit Harington show up at.
Mm-hmm.
And
he was dressed like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a scene with this person. Because HBO has now learned when they drop trailers, you don't necessarily know if what you're seeing is what you're going to see in the finished product.
Well, and that's our next topic. Our topic is expectation. And when you are in this world of top secret, this is like, this is a conspiracy level secrecy here. and when you're in this world of that kind of secrecy in production, one of the benefits that you have is the ability to build anticipation by releasing already cut footage that's going to end up on the cutting room floor, as it were, or simply filming simple teaser footage. And point in case is, since you mentioned it, the Game of Thrones trailer that dropped just, a week ago.
Yes.
And
yes,
it's its own story. There's no place I can imagine that we're going to see that set of circumstances or scene in Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm.
This is cut solely for promotional purposes.
Visually stunning,
and you know what? We'll because that's the biggest example of the proverbial top secret production is Game of Thrones right now. Because obviously this is the final season. Nobody wants to let loose how it ends, or we don't want to spoil it for the viewers. So, this is what they put out for their trailer. Was a couple-minute trailer, and it was the 3 Stark children at Winterfell. I know there are 4 there, everybody. I know Brandon Stark is there. But the 3, Jon Snow, Arya Stark,
and Sansa
Stark, walking through the crypts of Winterfell, each one passing a different memorial statue of someone that's important to their storyline. So Jon Snow walks past
Lyanna's
monument, and we see the feather that Robert Baratheon put there in the first episode of the show, and then Sansa Stark walks past the memorial statue of
her mother,
Catelyn Stark, and of her mother, and we get some great audio clips in the background of quotes. And then Arya Stark is walking into the crypts, looking badass. I think that's my favorite Game of Thrones character, by the way. Anybody cares? No, I know nobody does, but I'll say it anyway. Just looking badass. And then they all walk to the end of the crypts, and they're facing memorial statues of themselves.
Yes, doesn't that make you want one?
A memorial statue of them.
As a figure, they would make
like
beautiful.
A little figurine.
Yeah. Oh, I could put
all
those
except
up on
for
a shelf.
Jon Snow's, because that didn't look anything like him.
No, it made him look fat
and old and fat, which we're all going to end up. So
the one of the wolf was cool, though.
Yes, and so then it cuts around, and my favorite part of the teaser is you see the ice working its way up the catacombs, and Jon and Arya and Sansa turn around, and simultaneously Jon and Arya draw their swords.
Yeah.
Jon draws Longclaw, and Arya draws Needle, and you just get a chill thinking, oh, the Stark fighting side by side in this epic. It's a great teaser. It's a great trailer.
It's beautiful foreshadowing, because even if you're never going to see that scene during the season, it doesn't matter.
You feel like you know what's going to happen.
That's right. It builds the anticipation almost to it's just a crazy
heightened
level.
This is a week-old trailer. And the last time I looked, and this was a couple days ago, 11 million views. 11 million viewers are watching the trailer. There are upwards of 24 trailer breakdowns from different channels, many of which we're going to put in the links down below. And, I mean, that's an example of how the community can get riled up by a simple promotional video.
Great indication of ratings.
We're down to about a minute before we have to take our last break, and when we come back on the other side of the break, we're going to talk about some of our favorite teasers that have come out. By the way, just to let everybody know, all of the teasers that you've heard at the end of our commercial breaks, we're going to put links down below so you can watch those teasers. And so check out the description of this show so that you can, click over and check out some of the reaction videos, check out some of the teaser breakdowns, check out some of the teasers that you've heard. We're going to come back. We're talking about our favorite teasers and give you guys a little bit of stimulation so you can talk about yours and why. So stay tuned in and stay logged on because we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Cosplay Michael with the Hangin with Webso, and you're listening to Krypton Radio. And remember, cosplay's for everyone.
The Rite of Wands. One boy, one Rite. And a world of deadly secrets that could change the course of history forever. It's time for The Rite of Wands by Mackenzie Flohr. When a horrible fate reveals itself during the Rite of Wands ceremony, Mirda must find a way to change his destiny. Forbidden from revealing the future, he is granted a wand and magical powers in order to save himself and those he loves. But Mirda is not the only one with secrets. The Rite of Wands by Mackenzie Flohr, available on Amazon.com now.
From the imagination of author Kevin J. Kessler, the Rosinanti dragons are no more. They have fallen into the obscurity of lore. Now warrior Valentine Barie and Seraphina, a magically gifted princess, are on a mission to save the world of Terra. Together they must face the Rosinanti legacy and combat the greatest threat their world has ever known. In the end, who is stronger, the man or the dragon? Find out in Kevin J. Kessler's The Rosinanti series on Amazon.com today.
Once, everything was awesome. Now, everything is bleak.
Hey, Lucy! I brought you coffee!
Coffee. The bitter liquid that provides the only semblance of pleasure left in these dark times.
Oh my goshness, did I interrupt you brooding just now?
Times have changed. You need to change with them. We have to be tough and battle ready.
Look, a shooting star, make a wish!
Oh no.
Hurry! The door is slowly closing!
Oh, the pain. It's getting so cold.
Emmett, what are you doing?
Hooray!
See, that wasn't so bad. Nothing got in. Ah! Something got in!
I'm General Mayhem. Bring me your fiercest leader.
Lucy!
Emmett!
This is all my fault. Hang on to your fronts, Planny. We're going to save Lucy. You tell me to smash asteroids! You mind if I save your life? Not at all. Who are you? The name's Rex Danger Vet.
Galaxy defending archaeologist, cowboy, and raptor trainer.
I don't get it. Will you help me rescue my friends? You don't want to go anywhere near the Sistar system. It's ruled by an alien queen. Only the toughest are gonna get out of there alive.
Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy? Yes, you are.
I'm queen whatever I would not be.
I'm getting super evil vibes here.
I could change my form to something else if this makes you uncomfortable. Hey, guys.
No, go back. The horse was much more palatable.
I got a play phone and a play phone. I gotta get it, baby.
No, it did not.
A1, hit him with the A1 song. Sing J1, not the A1 side. Lucy!
Emmett, did you draw stubble dots on your face?
What? No.
Who are you?
I'm your worst nightmare.
You're me when I'm late to school and I forgot my homework and my pants are made of pudding?
No, I don't.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Hangin' with Web Show Radio Hour. I'm GW Pomichter.
Hi, I'm Sage Ida.
And I'm Deanna Marie.
And we are coming to you tonight. We're talking about all things teaser, trailer, great teasers and trailers that are out there. The industries, if you will, that have spawned up around the teasers and trailers. And as they become growing in importance in popular culture, so has the world around them and how we treat them. There was a time, yes, once upon a time, when you would go to a movie theater and you would sit down and they would play 4 previews and you would only remember 2 of them, and that was the last time you would ever see them. And then you would go home, and those of you who were fortunate enough to have cable television would see a 30-second or 1-minute version of a preview, and you'd only remember 1 or 2 of them. And that was it. That's how you promoted a movie. or a television show.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody had ever heard of a video game before. And today, there is as much excitement around the dropping of a new trailer as there is the coming of a new movie.
Now you get to the movie theater absolutely on time so you don't miss the upcoming
That's right.
trailers.
And you stay until the end of the credits because you know that Marvel put a post-credit scene in.
Oh, yes.
Every time. Sometimes, too, you have to stay till the very, very end until they turn the house lights back on. And nobody ever did that before.
Mm-mm.
You got there 15 minutes late because you knew you had time before the, quote, previews. And then you left as soon as the last line of the movie. And you were sure you were pretty, intelligent about that movie at that time. Today, you're not. You missed the previews. You have nothing to talk about around the water cooler tomorrow.
That's right.
And you missed the post-credit scene. So when everybody else is talking about it around the water cooler, you have no idea what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
It's great marketing. It's great community building. And it's this is our lives in popular culture today. Those of us who make a living here doing the radio show and talking popular culture, or those of you who attend conventions or cosplay or create your own stuff. This is the world we live in, where teasers and trailers and previews and reaction videos and breakdown videos, these are the things that shape pop culture almost as much as the actual properties. So much so, I think that some advertising campaigns, some marketing campaigns are almost exclusively social media based, where, it's just all about spreading community, spreading word of mouth, building an entire group, an army, if you will, that will show up in the theater or show up on premiere night in front of their televisions.
Yes.
And be exclusively dedicated to watching your property because they've spent so much time building a community around it that it's almost like homework. And it's an afterthought. Like watching the show is an afterthought to being a part of the conversation about watching the show. There's a strange psychology in there somewhere that I'm not quite sure I understand, but it's really cool.
And very fascinating. And we're a part of it.
And we are. The Hangin with Web show are the proud producers of, we have two after shows. We have the Great Legend of the Traveling TARDIS, hosted by our one and only Christian Basil, which is an after show breaking down teasers, trailers, and episodes, episode by episode of Doctor Who from the BBC. We also are proud producers and sponsors of the Justice Watchtower with author Kevin J. Kessler, where him and a panel of his guests talk about all of the television shows in the DC CW universe. So Arrow, Flash, what's called the Arrowverse.
Supergirl!
That's right.
I just like to say that.
And he breaks all of those down, and we go over trailers and teasers and episodes by episode and talk about all the news and who you can see at conventions and whatnot. And so this is a part of a really cool phenomenon. And it's exciting to be a part of it right now. Popular culture is built on these movements, whether it is the popularity of a comic book series or graphic novel, or the popularity of a movie series such as Star Wars, or video games. Now video games are story based. A good friend and Hangin with Web Show alumnus, Peter J. Wax, got his start in storytelling. He's an award-winning author, but he got his start in storytelling writing games and making them story-based.
Yeah, well, and just think of the latest game phenomenon out there, which is Fortnite, which, interestingly enough, also had a fan trailer for a movie made out of it. It's not happening.
Yep.
But the idea is out there, and they've made trailers for that.
Yeah, it is. There's an entire creative industry built around being a fan, being a part of this wonderful, weird, wonky, nerdy, geeky family that is the fandom at large.
It's just glorious.
It is, and it's wonderful to see. Tis the season. It's January. The big spring. What was the summer blockbuster when I was young has become sort of the spring fling. Where they just start flinging movies at you around March or April. And tis the season for teasers and trailers. And so we're going to go around the showroom here. Deanna, make sure you speak way into your mic. And we're going to go around and find out what some favorite teasers and trailers for upcoming properties are around the room. And tell us not only what your favorite is, but why, what you liked about it, what you thought it told you about your property. So let's start with Sage, and then we'll go to Deanna, and then we'll come back to me. Okay, so Sage, favorite Okay, top 2. Favorite television teaser,
Okay.
favorite movie trailer, and why.
Okay. Shazam! Okay, I loved seeing...
I think you got the why because I think the why is just you like saying Shazam.
I do, but I loved seeing that trailer. For one, I was just very interested to see how Zach was going to be in the suit. And it was... It
jacked, man.
It
Huge.
met my expectations,
Yes.
and it was fantastic, and I was so happy to see the humor that was in it, and it just looks like it's going to be so much fun, and that's what I'm enjoying. Just knowing that I'm going to have a lot of fun, watching it when it comes on screen.
If you had to describe that teaser to somebody who just hadn't seen it yet, because the internet has 3 people that haven't seen it yet, how would you describe it?
Shazam!
Okay, done. Okay, Dina, let's go to Dina. And Dina, favorite trailer or teaser that you've seen and why?
Well, first of all, I gotta tell you, I'm one of those ones that haven't seen the trailer for Shazam. Believe it or not. Avengers End Game is my favorite, just because it's dark and you still don't know which way it's going.
Okay, cool. I guess that's good. That's good. It was truly a teaser in that it teased you. It didn't give you enough to really, tell you what was going to happen, as it were. Right? So that's good. Okay, so we're back to me. Okay, so television, I'm going to say just favorite all-time television trailer for a show, Game of Thrones. 2019.
Mm-hmm.
It did everything it was supposed to do. It told me absolutely nothing about what's going to happen. And at the same time told me everything that I wanted to know. I saw the Stark children together at Winterfell. I felt the war for the Dawn coming upon us with the mist and the ice coming across the crypts. And I felt like the dialogue, especially the voiceover dialogue, from each character, I felt like that fed me the story. So much so that I did note, and I wasn't the only one, there was some stuff on the internet that I read afterwards, that every single quote used for every single character that was shown had something to do with Jon Snow. Catelyn Stark's quote was about, not being able to love a motherless child. And Lyanna Stark's quote was, to protect him and to keep him safe. And then Ned Stark's quote was that, you are a Stark, you might not have my name, but you have my blood. And so it was all about Jon Snow. So, which is where I think this season is really going. It's all about Jon Snow. So that was why. I thought it gave me everything I needed and nothing that I wanted. And so I liked that. And I liked the idea also of the teaser. I liked the Endgame teaser. I thought it was good. But I think my favorite this year so far has been the Spider-Man Far From Home. Spider-Man Far From Home was funny. It was upbeat. The music was bang on. Yeah, you had the Spider-Man theme that everybody knows. You also had that rockin' theme music as they toured through Europe. It gave you everything that you wanted and still told you nothing. We know he's going on summer vacation in Europe and that he's going to be Spider-Man.
Yes.
And we know he's alive because, well, that's helpful. But we also got everything. We got Nick Fury in a deep, dark corner. And nothing says Marvel Universe or even Sony, okay, like Nick Fury shooting your best friend in the neck with a dart.
That's true.
Okay.
For fun.
And to top it all off, I will join Kevin Smith in his excitement for Mysterio.
Ooh, the fish helmet.
Yes. That was awesome. So, for Spider-Man Far From Home, my favorite. Okay, we're down to the last minute of the show, guys. I hope we didn't bore you too much tonight. We just wanted to dive into the idea of teasers and trailers and what they mean in pop culture because it's such a huge part of being a part of the fandom today is following all of these social media posts and these teasers and these trailers. It's been great hanging out tonight. We've just been hanging out here in the studio together. I'm GW Pomichter.
I am Sage Ia.
And I'm Deanna Marie.
And we are the Hangin' with Web Show Radio Hour crew. Next week we'll be back with some great guests. We'll talk about some great new topics in sci-fi fantasy. and in the nerddom in general. And thank you so much for tuning in and logging on tonight. As we sign off, we want to remind you, you can check us out on the World Wide Web at hanginwithshow.com. You can find us on Facebook at Hangin' With Web Show, on Twitter at Hangin' With Show, on Instagram at Hangin' With Web Show. Please go over and subscribe to the YouTube channel for us. We're building up numbers. We're sharing independent creative artists of all kinds, comic creators, filmmakers, authors, you name it. It's on the Hangin' With Web Show. We interview people from all over the country at conventions and in conferences, everywhere we can go. So please subscribe to that channel and like that. Check out the links down below or in the description wherever they've located it on these great web pages and aggregators. So check out the description of the show, link on some of these great YouTube videos, and support some of these creators. I'm GW Pomichter. We're the Hangin' With Web Show Radio Hour. Thank you so much for logging on and tuning in. Remember, keep logging on and keep tuning in to see who we're hanging with next.